Bitcoin price guesses. That's what I'm going to call this, not predictions. It's not based on technical analysis. It's not based on years and years and years of experience. It's not based on heavy fundamental analysis. So back on February 4th, 2024, towards the end of a video that I released that day, talking about following blindly, or rather, be careful not to follow blindly. Towards the end, I think the last minute or so of that video is when I just kind of threw out some Bitcoin prices, price guesses. And at the time, I said that I was feeling pretty bullish on Bitcoin, and I thought that Bitcoin would be in the $50,000 to $60,000 range around the time of the halving in 2024 being around April 17th, 18th, 19th, something like that. In that video, I also said by around the halving, I'm talking plus or minus 2 to 4 weeks, so a month before, a month after, which, it's a big price range and it's a big time range, right? So that's kind of cheating, I suppose. And that was back on February 4th, 2024 that I said that. Today being February 18th, 2024. The price on February 4th was a high of about, I believe it was 42,300. The high today of February 18th, 2024, current as of about 20 past noon Pacific time when I last checked prices, the high was just over 52,000. It was about $52,011.98 as the high for the day. So just 14 days later, and the price has gone up by nearly $10,000. In that video, I also said that I think that the price of Bitcoin is probably going to be at least $60,000 by the end of summer, beginning of fall 2024. And from my perspective, being a citizen of the United States of North America, that in turn is going to mean, like very late August, sometime in September, maybe very early October. And I also said that I think Bitcoin is going to close 2024 around $80,000, plus or minus a little, so maybe, in the range of $75,000 to $85,000. And I know that there are folks that are already starting to talk about, more, well, maybe not just starting, but talking more recently about a super cycle potentially kicking off and Bitcoin going absolutely parabolic and going to $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 during the 2024-2025 bull cycle. And I'm not saying that that's not possible. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not waiting for Bitcoin to go to 200,000 and then just keep going. Like I think it's going to be more like $140,000, $160,000 for the new all-time high. It might push 180, 200, 212, but I'm expecting more like something a little more modest, like 140, 150, 160. But we will see. Certainly would be pretty happy if Bitcoin hit $500,000 or more, especially if I were still holding anything, right? Because Bitcoin goes up that much and you're holding, Pangolin or Avalanche or any number of things, right? And there's a very good chance that is going to pump way more than Bitcoin did. And well, then you just made a killing. But I'm also not, like I said, I'm not expecting that. So to put a little bit of a tighter Bitcoin price guess for the halving of 2024, which again is probably looking like it's going to be April 17th, April 18th, April 19th. It's looking more like the 18th or 19th at the moment from what I was seeing, give or take a day. I'm going to go ahead and just say that my guess is that Bitcoin's going to be probably in the $50,000 to $55,000, $56,000 range in April of 2024 before the halving. Within 2 weeks after the halving, the day of the halving, I think Bitcoin's probably going to be something like 58,000 to 63,000. Again, these are just guesses. And one of the reasons why I want to put these guesses down, kind of time and date stamp them, by publishing to YouTube, is because although I do think that technical analysis, that skill is valuable, however, it also seems very elusive because I've seen so many price predictions and so often they're pretty far off. Not always, not everybody, some, and not everybody is going to be right 100% of the time. In fact, nobody's going to be right 100% of the time. However, when somebody says that, based on all this chart data, that any moment now, Bitcoin's going to break out and it's going to hit $90,000 or higher. And then, 6 months later, that never happened. And meanwhile, I'm thinking like, no, I think it's going to be like 48,000 and it ends up being like 46.7. So I'm going to keep doing this for a while because I want something to just be on record. And it's not just for me to say, haha, my guess is better than, you know, all of this work you put in. My purpose though is to kind of just, if that happens, like if I start making price guesses, I'm not going to call them predictions, and if I'm right, and I'm talking within say 10%, you know, if I say Bitcoin is going to be 50K and it's 47K or 52K, I'm going to consider myself to be, you know, pretty close, you know, in the neighborhood of kind of saying, okay, you know, you get a pass, you know, you were more or less right. And if that ends up being right, even a third of the time, or even better, if it's right, you know, 50% of the time or better, I want you to take that into consideration, not to just, you know, hinge on my every word, but to realize just how much nonsense there is, right? And you got to be real careful where you get your information. You know, it's not just influencers, meaning, you know, people trying to build a YouTube channel like myself, or more to the point, somebody that already has an audience built up or just gets tons of views for their videos, which is what somebody would probably think of as an actual influencer, not somebody that's got, you know, 30 or 40,000 views across 25, 30 videos. You know, because if you're listening to banks or investment houses, you know, hedge funds or, you know, finance, you know, Wall Street, the media, you know, typically if you're hearing a bunch of people like that telling you to sell Bitcoin, it's probably time to hodl or maybe buy. If you're hearing them say buy, well, it's probably time to consider selling if you're not already long-term hodling regardless. And of course, there are some people that you can come across that have a lot of good, pretty accurate price predictions, or maybe it's not even a price prediction. They just tell you, you need to put your money into Link right now because it's going to pump real soon. And then, you know, a week goes by, 6 weeks goes by, and it doubles or it goes up, you know, 60%. And you could have made some money if you had listened, or if you took their cue and did your own research, made a decision, and ultimately came to the decision to invest, right? So yeah, Bitcoin already around 51, 52,000. Who knows? Maybe we'll close the day at 53,000. Maybe in a week we'll be at 54,000. We'll have to see. But I think it's going to be a real good year, and I think next year will hopefully be even better. That's typically how it works. But we'll have to wait and see. Tell us what you think in the comments below.